Right, tonight is a little bit of an introduction into this Gemorah of Sotah.
I didn't count myself, so
All right. Good. All right. So we're going to speak a little bit about tonight about the introduction into this concept of the Gemorah Sotah. We'll start learning the first Mishnah, and Gemorah gets involved in lots of different things. But what is this concept of Sotah? First of all, it's important to understand it doesn't exist anymore. Right, this ceremony that occurred was a ceremony that occurred miraculously, and we're going to have to talk about that because, in other words, do we do things and rely on miracles to clarify situations, or is this something which was very unique? I mean, it only existed at the time of the Beis Hamikdash, right? Why did it only exist at the time of the Beis Hamikdash? When did it start being used? What?
both Beis Hamikdash?
That's a good question. I'm not sure of the answer to that question. We'll have to check that out, okay? Was it only one Beis Hamikdash?
I Googled it. It was the second Beis Hamikdash.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Both, or just the second?
It was in the second.
Not the first?
No, it ended, the practice, and the concept was up to the second Beis Hamikdash. It was one of those sources on the internet.
Might not have
Okay.
been.
I wanted to see what they said about it.
So it wasn't the second or not?
No, I thought miracles ended the same day in Mikdash except for one miracle.
It's arguable
One miracle.
if it was ever done, but what the sources say, and I don't want to say it was Google, but it's the one
Wikipedia says
that needs
must be
God's participation to actually get it done. So you're dependent on Him to know what the outcome,
Correct.
which makes it unique.
Okay.
So it was in the first and the second?
That's
In the Mishkan?
I don't believe it was in the Mishkan, but these are all good questions that we will have to explore. I'll try and clarify those for you. Let's first of all try to understand. Let's just try to understand what happened, right? What was it that happened? What was the procedure? So I didn't want to make Xeroxes of the Chumash. I don't like to just create shemos, But if you have an app and you want to call up, you want to look up Safari or something like that, to do that, we are in Parshas Naso, Midbar Perek Hey. So says the Chumash, Dabera b'nei Yisrael v'yamarta alehem. This is pasuk Yud Beis. Right, Perek Hey, Pasuk Yud Beis. Speak to Bnei Israel and tell them, Ish ki tiste ishto, that any man whose wife goes astray, right? And we're going to have to look at this word. What does the word Sotah actually mean, right? When we talk about going astray in this pasuk, we're not talking about a wife who spends a lot of money. We're not talking about a wife who goes astray that way. We're talking about a wife who goes astray and commits adultery. Now remember, what is the halachic definition of adultery?
Married woman.
Married
Being
woman
alone.
with another guy.
Being alone.
No, the halachic definition of adultery is intimacy between a married Jewish woman and someone other than her husband. That is considered halachically adultery. Okay? If it is a married man with someone other than his wife, that is not considered halachically adultery. It doesn't have the stamp of approval. It's not a good thing. Right? It's not a good thing.
You don't
but
discuss that at your Thursday morning class.
Right, I do not know. Right, I mean, no, I did when I did discuss this. Right, that it's not the same thing, and there are reasons. We'll come to talk about the reasons why this applies. Let's say that a woman suspected that her husband was not being faithful to her, so can she bring her husband to the Beis Hamikdash and force him to drink the water? Right, and the answer is obviously no. Why that is something that we're going to explore. Why is it that a wife who suspects her husband of being not faithful to her doesn't have the ability to do this, right? But a husband does. Okay. So his wife has gone astray. We understand that to mean he suspects her of committing adultery, right? He suspects her of committing adultery, Uma'ala vo ma'al. This terminology is very strange. What does the word ma'ala mean? It comes from the word mi'ilah. What is mi'ilah? Mi'ilah is where you make use of something which is hekdesh, which is holy, for not holy purposes. So, for instance, if I have a goat that was designated as a karban, it has the status of being hekdesh, has the status of being holy. And now I take this goat and I use the goat for its milk. I milk the goat and I want to use the milk. I want to drink the milk. I'm not allowed to do that. That's mi'ilah. I have used something which is holy for not holy purposes. If the Kohen wants to use the milk, that's a whole different question. But I'm not a Kohen, I'm not a Levi, right? I want to use the milk, so I go and I milk this holy goat, and I get holy milk, holy goat milk, and if I use it, I am guilty of me'ilah. So the terminology which is used here is uma'ala vo ma'al. Right? Uma'ala vo ma'al. We're going to come to see why it uses particularly this terminology. Rashi explains, umahu ha-ma'al, what is the me'ilah that is done? So Rashi says, v'shachav ish osa, right? The very next three words are describing what that me'ilah was. V'shachav ish osa, that another man was intimate with her. But another man was intimate with her. So here you see something very interesting. What is marriage called in halacha? Kiddushin. Right? It is called Kiddushin. Why is it called Kiddushin? It's called Kiddushin because the process of marriage makes this woman holy to this man. What does holy mean? Separate or off limits, if you will. Right? If I take a goat and I'm makdish that goat and I make that goat holy, so that goat is off limits to me. I can't use that goat anymore. It's separate from my world. So when a woman and a man get married, kiddushin, this woman is separate from the world. She is separate only to this man, not to anybody else. That's the me'ilah that occurs here. That's the sense of it. Okay, so now, v'shachav ish osa shichvas zera. It's an interesting, we're going to learn some interesting things here. Some of it we might have to turn the tape off for. But v'shachav ish osa shichvas zera. V'ne'elam me'enei isha. What's the Torah telling us? It's hidden from the eyes of her husband. What does that mean? It's hidden from the eyes of her husband. He suspects her, but he doesn't know for sure that this has happened. He doesn't know for sure that this has happened. Vinistera, and she is secluded, hidden along with this person. Vihi nitma'a, and she becomes time'ah as a result of this. Ve'ed ein ba, and there are no witnesses. Why does it say ve'edim ein ba? There are no, right? Because we know you need two witnesses. Why does it say ve'ed ein ba? We'll see. Vihi lo nispasa, right? Vihi lo nispasa means she hasn't been raped. We're not talking about rape. Rape is not an isha sotah.
It's consensual.
Right? It's consensual, right? An isha sotah can only be, the whole process of an isha sotah will only make a determination if it was consensual. If it was not consensual, the whole process of the mei sotah doesn't do anything, doesn't work. And we'll learn there are other situations where it doesn't work. But vihi lo nispasa, she hasn't been forced. So what happens? So the husband doesn't know what's going on. Va'avar alav ruach kin'ah. So he becomes suspicious. Jealous is the terminology here. Vikine es ishto. And he warns his wife. In other words, what does he say to her? He says, I don't want you to be with this guy. He doesn't say, I don't want you to be with any guy. He says, I don't want you to be with this specific guy.
Biblically with this guy or just...
What?
biblically, when he was with this guy, biblically.
I don't want you to be alone with this guy. You can't be in yichud
But no
with
one's
this guy.
allowed- No one's allowed to be with a woman.
Right, that's correct. In other words, what Eddie is saying is that I'm not allowed to be in yichud with a married woman, even if her husband doesn't warn me. Right? I'm saying, even if her husband doesn't warn her, I'm not allowed to be in
I
yichud
mean,
with her.
why this guy as opposed to any guy? I mean,
No, he says
Well, that's
in
a
other words-
precondition. It's
right,
specifically
correct.
warning, stay away
Part-
from everybody, but in particular him.
these are like the ingredients that need to be in place for the May
of the
Sotah, for these waters to work. If these ingredients are not in place, right, then the
Different
May
issue,
Sotah
we're
doesn't
not
work.
doing this.
Right, the May Sotah doesn't work. And so if the May Sotah doesn't work, we have to figure out, so what happens? So she gets away with it? And like, is that what the implication is? You know, we'll see. We're gonna talk about all of this stuff in a lot of detail. Okay. So the Kinei es ishto, so he's warned her, vihi nitma'a. And what happened? And she went ahead and had relations with this guy. Right? She
we don't know
right
that.
vihi nitma'a. Now we're being told
She became
she became tummy. So what does it mean she became tummy?
The Sotah.
Right? What does it mean she became tummy? The implication of she became tummy is that she became tummy through relations with this guy. So if you're asking me why
Why do we
do
need all the rest of the, I mean, if we know what she's done,
no, the Torah, we're being told,
the final outcome.
it's like we're
Before we
looking
got there.
down, right? We're being told what happened,
Nobody knows.
right? Nobody knows,
Right, but we're
right?
being
But we know, right? In other words, you know, thousands of years later, we know what happened here, okay? So, maybe he gave her a warning, right? And she didn't become. In other words, just because he gave her a warning, the warning is only the first step. She still needs to go ahead and either be with this guy or not be with this guy in order for the May Sotah to work. Okay. Vehevi ha'ish es ishto el hakohen. He doesn't know whether she was nitma'a or not, meaning he doesn't know whether this guy was intimate with her or not. He does know that they were alone together, but he doesn't know whether or not they were intimate. And when we say he knows they were alone together, what are we going to learn? There were witnesses that the two of them were alone together. It's not like, you know, gee, you said you were going to the store and I tracked your phone and you wound up in his apartment or something like that. No, that's not what we're talking about. There are witnesses who see the two of them going into yichud together. Obviously, we're going to have to learn what yichud is, right? But there are witnesses that see the two of them going into yichud together.
It's a coincidence.
So he brings her El HaKohen, Vehevies Karbana Oleha, and he has to bring, and he brings the carbon. In other words, right? He brings the carbon. He gives who offers the carbon, who pays for the carbon. These are all things that we're gonna look at. And Torah tells us what the carbon is, exactly what the carbon is. Okay, we'll go through that quick. V'hikriv Osah Kohen, the Kohen offers the carbon. V'ha'emidah lifnei Hashem, and causes her to stand before Hashem. What does that mean, causes her to stand before Hashem? Aren't we all before Hashem? Right? Everywhere we are, isn't that before Hashem? What does it mean he causes her to stand before Hashem? Okay. V'lakacha Kohen mayim kidoshim. The Kohen takes holy water. What is holy water? Gemorah is going to tell us what defines holy water. B'kli chares, in an earthenware utensil. Umin ha'afar asher yiyeh b'karka hamishkan, and from the earth which is on the floor of the Mishkan. Yikach HaKohen, the Kohen takes earth, v'nasan el hamayim, and he puts the earth into the water. Puts the earth into the water. All right? Now, you're all familiar with the erasing of Hashem's name, right? Mm-hmm. We haven't learned anything about that yet. We're not up to that yet. But what does it say? V'ha'emid HaKohen es ha'isha lifnei Hashem. A second time it says it. He stands her before Hashem. Ufara es rosh ha'isha. And what does he do? He uncovers her hair. This is the biblical source for the obligation of a woman to cover her hair. We'll learn about it. But here he uncovers her hair. V'nasan al kapeha es minchas hazikaron, minchas kinaosi. he puts the carbon in her hand, the meal carbon in her hand. Uviyad hakohen yu mei hamarim hama'orarim. And in the Kohen's hand are these waters mixed with earth from the floor of the Mishkan. Okay? And then he says, Vihishbia ha'osa hakohen. And the Kohen makes her take an oath. What is this oath? V'amar el ha'ishan. He says to the woman, Im lo shachav ish osach. If no man has been intimate with you, meaning no man has been intimate with you, here we're going to see it's actually going to refer to her husband as well. In other words, the husband can't warn her and then be intimate with her, because if he does that, then the whole process doesn't work. So we'll see this refers to the husband, right? Ve'amar al isha im lo shachav ish osach ve'im lo satis tuma tachas ishech, and if you didn't go astray, then we don't see what the then is, but we'll come to it. V'chinit meis, right? And if you did become teme'ah, v'yitain ishbach es shechavto, and a man has put inside of you his zera, his seed, so then mibal adei ishech, and he wasn't your husband, right? This is the beginning of the shvua. V'hishbia hakohenes ha'isha b'shvuas ha'Allah. And he tells her, "Va'amar hakohen eileha yitein Hashem osach le'olah v'lishvua b'toch amech." Okay, we'll come through all of this, right? What's going to happen? B'seis Hashem es yirechech nofeles v'es bitnech tzava. Your thigh is going to fall away, and your stomach is going to swell. What was going on here? Like, what does it mean that her thigh was going to fall away? What is her thigh falling away? What is that physically? What does that mean? Stomach swelling, okay, we can, and in fact, Lemaisa, when this happened, they quickly got her out of the Beis HaMikdash. Because what was going to happen? She was going to die.
Right.
And if she dies in the Beis HaMikdash,
Tell me.
there's a problem of tumah.
And all those Kohanim
Right,
were not allowed to be
right.
with
So
them.
if they see her stomach is, her leg is falling away and her
That's it,
stomach
those
is
are the
starting to
warning
swell,
signs.
they
And
quick,
they're right.
right? They,
That's it.
right, they quickly get her out of the Beis HaMikdash. I mean, this is
Why
an
did they
interesting.
do it in the Beis Hamikdash?
Oh,
Yeah,
so
why in the first
this is a
place?
great question. Why did they do it in the Beis
Do it in the
HaMikdash
courtyard
if the
outside.
right at the bottom? Do it in a place where
but
tumah is not going to be a problem,
metaphorical.
right? Why did they do it precisely where? And we're going to look at the map and see they literally take this woman on a parade, a procession around the Mishkan, around the Beis HaMikdash. They take her on a procession. Part of the reason we'll learn is to give her a chance to confess, to be terrified and to confess.
If you confess to having lied with another man, isn't the penalty a capital punishment?
If you confess to having been intimate with another man,
Just get divorced.
and there are no witnesses, you get divorced. You lose your ksuba, but you don't get killed.
So you publicly admit.
Because a person cannot ein adam mesim es atzmo rasha. We do not punish someone who confesses to something, right? There's no self-incrimination,
Well,
I guess.
you punish them, but
You have a
not
lawyer?
meet.
Right? We don't kill them. We don't
With
kill
their
them.
own testimony.
Right? We don't kill them because of their own
Still
testimony.
look right.
In Google,
Google.
it said that the woman had a choice. That until then, she was protected by her ketubah, and that she had a monetary adjustment if something else went wrong with the marriage and we wanted to divorce her. But that she was given a choice of either giving up her contractual rights under the ketubah and not having to go through the whole ceremony,
Right.
or facing him up and saying, "Oh yeah,
Did
I'll
not.
show you I'm going through." So this
Right.
was a choice she had,
Right.
correct? So Google was correct.
Google is always correct. Okay, well that's not true, but okay. All right, so this is basically the story and what happened. So the water uvau hamayim ha'arim ha'ela b'me'ayich latzbos beten v'lipol yarech v'hamra ha'isha amen amen. The woman says amen, right? Saying, and we're going to learn. This is what does amen mean? Does amen mean like yes? Does it mean I agree? Does it mean like, oh, that was a nice bracha you made, I'll say amen? What does it mean? We're
But it was a
going
klala.
right? Yeah, right. The Gemara is going to speak about this. Right? What does amen mean? And then now comes the part that we're all familiar with. V'chasav es ha'alos ha'ela kohen b'sefer. The Kohen writes this down, exactly what he said to her using Shem Hashem. Umacha el mei ha'marim, and he erases it with water, erases it into the jug of water, the container of water. He is erasing Shem Hashem. Right? The only time that we are allowed to erase Shem Hashem is in this particular incident. We'll talk a little bit about what that means, what Shemos is. What is the Kedusha? What is Shem Hashem? Is Shem Hashem Yud Kei Vav Kei? What if it's Aleph, Aleph Lamed Hey Vav Mem? Is that Shem? What is Shem Hashem? We'll talk about all of that. But he erases it. V'hishka es ha'isha es meha marim ha'ma'ararim, and he forces her to drink this water. What does it mean he forces her to drink this water? What happens if she doesn't want to drink? What happens if she keeps her mouth closed? Right? Do they hold her down and open up her mouth and force her to drink? Is this waterboarding? Right? What happens? Something that we have to talk about. All right, we're gonna look through it. Okay. Okay, so and what happens in the end? If she's guilty, she dies and her paramour dies. Wherever he is. Right? Wherever he is. He doesn't have to be in the Beis HaMikdash.
He'll just
right?
somewhere.
Just, right? Wherever he is, he goes. She goes, he goes. Right? On the other hand, it's possible that she's guilty and she doesn't go. Right? It's possible that she's guilty and she doesn't go. How could that be? Right? We're going to learn that there are certain zechuyos that she might have, certain things that she might have done that protect her from this mayim ma'arim, at least temporarily.
Not very specific.
Building fund?
What?
Yeah, if she hasn't paid up what? She hasn't paid up what to the Beis HaMikdash.
Is there a record of, I don't mean a written record, but is there a sense of how many people this happened to?
What does Google say? How many people does this happen to? What? How many people does Google say this happened
Went through
to?
this Sotah ceremony.
It doesn't say that it ever happened to
Right,
anyone.
right. That's the question we're going to look at. Is this another one of those things that never happened?
Like capital punishment.
No, we know capital punishment happened.
No,
Right, we clearly know capital punishment happened. How often it happened, that's a different story. But we clearly know we know people were executed. But the case, let's say, of the Ben Sora Umora, right? This rebellious child, right? Did it ever happen or did it not happen? What about the case of an Ir Hanidachas, a city that was, where the majority of the people worshipped Avodah Zarah? Did it happen or did it not happen? Right? So is Sotah another one of those did it happen or did it not happen kind of things? Or do we have evidence? No, this actually happened.
Records? I mean,
Do we have records that this actually happened?
Your
We're
honey
gonna-
dachas is in the time of the Beis HaMikdash?
Excuse me?
Your honey dachas is in the time of the Beis HaMikdash or any time?
Anytime.
Can the husband stop this process at any point?
Can the husband?
He makes this accusation and then it's going along and.
And then
In
he
other words,
decides what he does.
let's say-
he
let's
was
say he
enraged and angry, but
let's say he calms down.
It was baseless.
No, I understand.
It's her choice.
Yeah, but no, not her choice. His
No, it is her.
It is her
In other words, if he says no, stop the process,
It's her good name.
she can say no, I want to do this process.
So she can go forward, but if he
Right.
says stop, she can say, okay, stop.
So that's an interesting question. If he says stop, let's say he changes,
Well,
he
yeah,
gets over being angry and he says, I don't want her to die. I don't want her to die. She's the mother of my kids, whatever it is. Right? I don't want her to die. I'll live with this.
Right.
Right? I'll live with this. So, can he stop the process or not? We're going to see that. I don't know the answer. We're going to see that. Right? We're going to see. Okay.
Heleni
You have to
Hamakan
look at what
donated
you have volunteered.
like a plaque that had the Sotah.
10 years
It's
from now,
like
we'll get there.
in the second
Okay.
day of Mikdash.
Let's go. Let's look at the Gemara that you have in front of you. I'm sorry that I don't have the English. All right. Next week we'll all have it. We'll have all the copies. Right? Or those of you who have it online yet. Okay. See where we're okay. Hamekane leishto. A person who gives his wife kinui, right? Kinui. Remember, we learned the pasuk. He became jealous, right? Avar alav ruach kin'ah, spirit of jealousy. vikine es ishto. Right? And he warned his wife. The same language of jealousy is the language which is used for this warning that he gives his wife. Hamikane li ishto. A man who gives this kinui to his wife. Rashi says, look at Rashi, the top right column. Rashi says, Lishna dekra nakat. The Mishnah here is using the terminology of the pasuk, right? The terminology of what the Torah says, because the Torah says, V'nikei es ishto. That what happened? That's the language, V'kinei es ishto. That's the language of the pasuk. Ulakaman bagmara mifaresh my lishon kinui. The Gemara is going to talk more to us about what this word kinui actually means. But let's go back to the Mishnah for right now, because the Mishnah is going to tell us how he gives this kinui, right? What is this kinui that he gives, and what is the mechanism for him to, to do this? What is the mechanism that this works? Hamekane liishto. Rabbi Eliezer Omer. Rabbi Eliezer says, Mekane lo al pi shnayim. The kinui that he gives her has to be witnessed by two valid witnesses. Right? What did the witnesses watch? What did the witnesses see? The witnesses hear him say to his wife, Al tisteri im ish ploni. Don't be secluded with, give me a name, I don't care. Don't be secluded with Tom. Don't be secluded with Moshe. Right? Don't be secluded with Moshe. Yeah, in other words, it doesn't work if he says, don't be alone with anybody. He has to be specific. In other words, he has to suspect that there is a particular person here, and he says to her, don't be alone with Moshe, with this particular guy.
And if he suspects but he doesn't know who she's with, it doesn't work.
Correct.
According to Rabbi Eliezer, although it doesn't say that in the Mishnah here.
We'll see. We'll come along, we'll see, okay? So that is, according to Rabbi Eliezer, right. Rabbi Eliezer, the Mishnah has not yet mentioned the specific wording that he needs to use. Rashi mentions the specific wording.
He's publicly vilifying his wife and the other fellow.
Yeah.
Well, just two witnesses.
He is laying the groundwork, right? He is laying the groundwork.
I mean, flush hara, accept it.
Well, wait a second. Can a husband just go ahead and call two people over and say this? He wants to ruin her life.
Well,
So she is nominated for a position on the Supreme Court, let's say. And, right? And he wants to ruin her life. So he calls two witnesses and he says, stay away from don't be caught, don't be alone together with so-and-so.
No, but she has the ultimate revenge. Because if she's completely innocent, she's going to get pregnant. End of story. So what do you mean win her life?
No, but right now, what's going on right now?
I understand, but the difference between this and that is here, this will be public. She did not do this.
Right. So what Hal is saying is that this has an end point.
she'll have her ultimate
Right.
revenge.
This
She's
has
going to have her ultimate
right.
revenge.
This has a decision.
But
This has a
that's-
decision from Hashem.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
It's not just from a Democrat or a Republican.
Right. That's absolutely true. Right. Absolutely true. And clearly, that's the nafkamina. Right. That's what's so special about this. Is literally Hashem is either clearing her name or
The Supreme Court.
confirming. Right. Confirming in a different concept of confirming. Okay. So Rabbi Eliezer says, Mekana le lo al pi shnayim umashke al pi eid echad. Right? That the kinui is given al pi shnayim. Look at Rashi. Rashi is the fourth line down. What does Rashi say? So Rashi says, Im ba lahashkosa, if it comes to giving her the water, Tzarich lahavi shnei edim, right? He has to bring two witnesses. Sha'amar la bifnehem, the two witnesses in whose presence he said, Al tisteri imo, don't be together with this guy. V'im lo kina la bifnei shnayim, and if he never gave her kinui in front of two witnesses, eina ne'eseres alav bistira ve'eno mashke. What does it mean? If he didn't give her this kinui in front of two witnesses, the whole process is
Doesn't
a
happen.
non-starter.
So the warning is in front of two,
The
but
wa-
only one person has
Oh,
to see her.
so now let's see at the next.
So
Let's
that's the
look.
mashke.
Look at the next Rashi.
Yeah,
Umashke al pi eid
In
echad.
other words, that the one person saw him secluded.
Well, no. Well, hold on. Umashke al pi eid echad o al pi atzmo. Va'afilu ein eidim, says Rashi. Shenistera ela eid echad o hu atzmo. Right. Let's see that. Right. He
Yeah,
gave her a
so-
warning in front of two
So-
witnesses, and then she was alone with this guy. But there was only one witness who saw it, or even if he was the only one who saw it, Omer, he can say, Ri'isiha shenistera achar shekinesila. That what?
She was alone after
She was alone after I gave her the kinui. So then ne'eseres bistira, she becomes usher to her husband, ad shetishte, until she drinks the water. All right? So when the Mishnah says, according to Rebbe Eliezer, umashke al pi eid echad o al pi atzmo, it means that this process of giving her the water can go forward if even one person has
if
seen
he's
them
the owner,
together,
so, yeah.
even if it's only him who's seen them together after the warning was given in front of two. That's Rebbe Eliezer's
It
position.
could be anybody.
It could be
witness.
it could be anyone
Doesn't have to
witness.
be one of the two.
That does not-
No, it could be
Or even
anyone
just
witness.
him.
Even
Or
just
even
him.
just him.
Even just him. Rabbi Yehoshua disagrees. Rabbi Yehoshua disagrees. Somebody yell when it's like 5-2 so we can daven Mariv. Rabbi Yehoshua disagrees. Rabbi Yehoshua Omer, Mikane la al pi shnayim. Two witnesses have to be present when the warning is given. Umashke al pi shnayim. And what else?
It has to be seen by two
And two witnesses, it could be the same two witnesses or it could be two different witnesses, have to actually see her secluded with this guy. So obviously,
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
doesn't have to have any proof of the person he's marrying.
the husband needs to have no proof that they were together previously. He suspects they were together
Right,
previously.
but if he names the wrong person in front of 2 Adam, that's Russian horror. And that could be another problem in and of itself.
No,
Well, they'll both be
remember,
clear.
it's only a problem. It's only a problem.
No,
No, this is only a problem if she subsequently is together, if she subsequently is with this person.
Not according
Let's
to
say he
the
says,
Eliezer.
let's say he says, don't be together with Moshe.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say he says, don't be together with Moshe.
And
And
he's
her
already-
husband sees her together with Chaim. Her husband sees her together with Chaim. The whole process, this doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Right? It doesn't happen.
Yeah, but can he warn her now about Moshe? About-
Yes,
Then
of
he
course.
can say,
Now he
"Don't
can
be
say,
with Chaim
he's
either."
going to go
And
through
then
the whole phone
following
book.
week it's Yaakov,
Right now he's going to
following
say,
week it's David.
He names more than one person in front of the
No one in my
or
contact
she-
list. That's it.
so Michael's asking an interesting question. Michael is saying, can he say, don't be together with Chaim, Reuven, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Avram, don't be together with all of those people? Or does he just, in
After
other
there's one
words,
person.
is that the same as saying, don't be together with anybody? Or does he have to be specific and name only one person? The Gemara is obviously going to talk about that specifically.
If the
Okay.
husband alone or any other combination claim that she was spotted in that fashion, do they go through a Jerisha and Chakira stuff? Because the woman would say, hey, I was with my girlfriends at the movie theater and there were 40 witnesses that documented.
Yes, so Eddie's asking Eddie's looking at the half steps. In other words, Eddie is saying, what when the husband gives her this warning in the presence of two witnesses, so do the two witnesses get examined? In other words, what exactly did the husband say? What was the language that he used? Where were you? Did you both hear it? So the answer is obviously yes. In other words, these are regular Eidim, and these Eidim are going to be questioned regarding whatever they are testifying to. They have to give Eidus, they have to give testimony.
And the next two Eidim who say they saw them alone?
According to Rabbi Yeshua.
Whichever one it is.
Right.
They also go through all of that?
So they also have to be,
And
where
if she's
where
ultimately
were
vindicated-
you? Where were you? Where was she? Now remember, nobody sees the two of them being intimate,
Right.
right? The worst they see
Going in-
is they were alone
whatever
together.
you could mean.
So it's possible that they were alone together, schmoozing. Right? It's possible they were alone together, schmoozing. In which case,
She won't die.
she'll drink the water and nothing will happen to her.
Well, she got pregnant.
Right? Well, that's an interesting question. In other words, does something good happen to her? Right? If something good happens to her, so you can say, well, here's a woman who's having problems conceiving. So what is she going to do?
She's gonna
So she's going to go through this.
Right.
She's going to go through this
She's gonna bait her
because she
husband.
knows.
At the end of the day.
Right? Is that such a possibility? Right? Is that such a possibility? Do we say that the waters are going to work that way? Maybe this is all a plot on her point, on her side.
Maybe he's complicit. They both want to have it.
Maybe he's complicit, right?
I'll
So
accuse you.
is that going to work? Okay, let's see. We're obviously we have a lot of questions, and we've done 3 lines of the Mishnah. So, right, we're gonna.
We have one a lot.
Right? And there are 2 volumes here. Okay. So Rebbe, so we have in the Mishnah we have a machlokes between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua. They both agree that the kinui, the warning, has to be done in the presence of 2 witnesses. They disagree as to the stira, whether the stira, the seclusion, has to be in the presence of 1 witness, even the husband, or does it have to be in the presence of 2 witnesses? Can the husband be one of those 2 witnesses? We'll see. Okay, it's just the Mishnah. Okay. So Rabbi Yeshua Omer Mekanela al pi shnayim u'mashke al pi shnayim. Ketzad mekanela? What is this kinui? What does he have to do? Right? What is this kinui? What does he have to say? Omer la. He says to her, bifnei shnayim, in the presence of 2 people. Remember, both Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua agree that it has to be 2. He says to her in the presence of 2 people, al tidabri im ish ploni. Don't talk to so and so. Vidibra imo, and she goes ahead and speaks to him. He says, don't speak to Moshe. And she goes ahead and speaks to Moshe. Adayin hi muteres lebeisa, right? He can still be with her. She can still be with her husband. No problem. Umuteres le'echol betruma. And if her husband happens to be a Kohen, she can still eat truma. In other words, if the husband warns her and says, don't talk to so-and-so, that's an inappropriate warning. Right? That's an inappropriate warning. So he says, don't talk to Moshe. She goes ahead and she talks to Moshe. It has no halachic significance. Right? Nichnesa imo lebeis haseser. But if she goes into seclusion with him, with Moshe, v'shasa imo kidei tuma, and she's in there long enough to be intimate with him, asura lebeisa v'asura le'echol betruma. What happens? Now, at this point,
all he said was don't talk.
Oh, good question, right? Based on what the Mishnah seems to be saying, if he said don't talk with Moshe, and he doesn't say don't be alone with Moshe. What does he say? He says don't talk to Moshe. And then, from what the Mishnah seems to be saying, she now is secluded with Moshe. He never warned her not to be secluded with Moshe. Right? What?
Kal v'chomer.
Right? So is it a kal v'chomer or is it not a kal v'chomer? It's not a kal v'chomer. If he says don't talk to Moshe and she goes ahead and talks to Moshe, nothing happens.
So if he says don't talk, she can do anything.
Right? So if he says don't talk to her and she's secluded with him long enough for something to happen,
He didn't warn her.
He
right?
says don't talk to her. He clearly doesn't want her to talk to her or
Okay.
But there are rules for.
We're just in the Mishnah. We're just in the Mishnah. All right, let's keep. I want to finish the Mishnah before we daven Ma'ariv. Let's go. Right. So if Nichnasa imo lebeis haseser, she goes into a place with him, which is considered yichud. They're considered segregated. They're considered together. V'shasa imo. In other words, if she goes in and out with him, right?
If she's in there for 20 seconds.
If she's in there for 20 seconds, not a problem, right? But if she's in there for,
18 minutes is the magic number.
I guess it depends on how.
We'll see what the Gemara tells us.
We're all right. We're gonna see. We're gonna see. You can all comment on it when we get there, right? Right. We'll see. Right. We'll see. The Gemara will talk about it. Obviously, the Gemara needs to be specific. Right, where are we going to put everybody next week? Right, the Gemara, the Gemara is going to need to be specific, and you'll tell me whether you think it's realistic or not realistic. Used to be realistic. Hopefully, it's realistic. Okay, so nichnas imo lebeisa seser v'shasa imo kedei tuma asura lebeisa. What do we say? Asura lebeisa. She is prohibited to her husband. V'asura le'echol betruma, and she is not allowed to eat truma. V'im mace, and no, v'im mace. What is mace?
He dies.
And if he dies without children, choletzes v'lo misyabemes.
So
She's not allowed.
to marry his
She's
brother.
not allowed to marry his brother. Right?
Supposed to fool around the brother.
Right.
She's not allowed to marry his brother. Choletzes v'lo misyabemes. Okay. She's not. Now, obviously, the Gemara is going to go through all of these things. We'll stop here for today. We'll daven Ma'ariv. Mizrach, Jeff, is that way, right? That way hasn't changed. Please remember that it's Rosh Chodesh. So add Yalla v'Yavo in your Shmona.